Chosen one, pause right here. Let the noise around you fall away for just a moment, because what you are reading right now is not coincidence, not chance, not something you happen to scroll into by random motion of your hand. This is a moment that was placed in your path on purpose. Before you opened your eyes this morning, heaven already knew you would arrive here. Before a single thought formed in your mind, the divine had already prepared this message. Before the questions in your heart rose to the surface, the answer had already begun its journey toward you. There are moments in life when God whispers gently, and there are moments when He interrupts your path with unmistakable clarity. This is one of those moments. You have been carrying something inside you, a mixture of exhaustion, hope, confusion, and quiet resilience. You've felt a shift, but you haven't had the language to explain it. You've sensed something unfolding around you, yet you couldn't see it clearly. You've wondered why your spirit felt heavier, why your dreams felt louder, why your heart seemed to be reaching for something you couldn't name. And heaven says to you now, you are not lost. You are being guided. You are not late. You are right on time. You are not forgotten. You are chosen. The timing of this message is divine, because the season you are entering is divine. Something is opening. Something is aligning. Something is being revealed. And your spirit knew it long before your mind did. Everything you have walked through is leading to this moment of understanding. Everything you have endured has prepared your heart to receive truth with clarity. So be here. Be present. Let every word reach the place in you that has been waiting, because heaven didn't send this to inform you. It sent this to awaken you. Chosen one, there are battles you've fought that no one knows about. You've carried weights that no one helped you lift. You've walked through seasons where your soul felt like it was stretching beyond what your heart could hold, and you did it quietly. There were nights when you laid awake, staring at the ceiling, asking questions that echoed through the deepest chambers of your spirit. Questions that felt too heavy to speak out loud. Questions that felt like they had no safe place to land. Why me? Why this path? Why does it feel like I'm walking alone? You learned how to smile while hurting, how to show strength while trembling on the inside, how to pray when your voice felt too tired to form words. People saw your composure, but they never saw the cost. They saw the strength, but they never saw the breaking that came before it. There were moments when your heart longed to collapse into someone's arms, to be held, to be understood without having to explain. But instead, you stood, again, and again, and again, not because you weren't tired, but because something in you refused to stop, something deep, something ancient, something holy. Your spirit knew, even when your mind did not, that this journey was shaping you. The silence didn't mean God was absent. The loneliness didn't mean God had withdrawn. It was in the silence that He was sharpening your discernment. It was in the loneliness that He was strengthening your identity. Because there are some lessons that cannot be learned in the crowd. There are some callings that cannot be awakened in comfort. There are some destinies that require a wilderness. And you, chosen one, were being prepared. There were days you felt misunderstood by those closest to you, as if your inner world was speaking a language they had never learned. People assumed you were fine because you carried yourself with grace, but your soul knew the battle was real. Yet, through every silent storm, you endured. Through every unanswered prayer, you persisted. Through every tear shed where no one could see, you grew. What you carried in silence was not wasted. It was seed, and seed only grows in the dark. You didn't survive for no reason. You didn't come this far to break now. Something is about to break open, not in you, but for you. Hold that truth close. Your silent burden has been seen by heaven, and heaven has already begun its response. Chosen one. There came a point in your journey where you began to feel eyes on you, even when no one was around. It wasn't paranoia. It wasn't imagination. It was discernment. Something in your spirit told you, someone is paying attention. People were watching your steps, your reactions, your decisions, your progress silently, not to celebrate you, but to study you. Some watched because they were curious. Some watched because they were threatened. Some watched because your very existence disrupted the lies they told themselves. They couldn't understand how you kept rising after every fall, how you kept loving after every betrayal, how you kept believing after every disappointment. They saw you lose, but they never saw you break. They saw you wounded, but they never saw you quit. They saw you walk through fire, but they never saw you burn. And that confused them, so they watched. Sometimes it was subtle, a look held a little too long, a silence that carried questions, a conversation that felt like it was hiding another meaning. Other times it was obvious distance where closeness used to be, whispers in corners, comparison behind smiles. You felt it, the shift in energy, the unspoken judgment, the way people began waiting, not for your success, but for your collapse. They thought your confidence was arrogance. They mistook your kindness for naivety. They assumed your silence was weakness, but they didn't know the truth. Your silence was protection. Your humility was strength. Your quiet spirit was anchored in something eternal. You were not walking alone. You were being carried through stages of becoming. What they didn't realize was that heaven was watching too. And while human eyes tried to measure your steps, God was measuring your heart. While they tried to analyze your intentions, God was fortifying your purpose. While they questioned your authenticity, God was refining your spirit. They watched you from the outside, but heaven walked with you from within. That's why their conclusions were wrong. They only saw the surface. They only saw what life threw at you, not what God was building in you. Your growth unnerved them. Your resilience confused them. Your peace amidst chaos disrupted everything they thought they understood about strength. You didn't blend the way others did. You didn't break the way others expected. You didn't fit the stories they tried to write about you, because you were never shaped by their approval. You were shaped by God's hand. So yes, you were watched intensely, quietly, deliberately, but not because you were weak. You were watched because you were becoming. And the world can sense when someone is stepping into a destiny that no human hand can prevent. The observation wasn't the threat. It was the announcement. Heaven has marked you. Chosen one. The reason they watched you goes deeper than curiosity. It reaches into the realm of spirit, where human language struggles to explain what the soul already knows. You were not simply observed. You were recognized. There are people who encountered you and could not figure out why they felt unsettled in your presence. It was not your words, or your behavior, or anything you did directly. It was your being. You carried something ancient, something luminous, something that did not match the environment you were in. Your spirit did not speak the language of fear. Your heart did not operate in manipulation. Your actions were not governed by ego, and that alone was enough to draw attention. Some people saw you and felt comfort. Some saw you and felt exposed. Your light made some feel safe and made others face truths they were not prepared to confront. You became a mirror. Those who had love inside them saw their love reflected back. Those who had wounds saw their wounds come to the surface. Those who had darkness living quietly in them felt that darkness stirred. So they watched you, not because they wanted to learn your heart, but because they were trying to understand why the presence of your soul caused their spirit to react. Your peace made their unrest louder. Your humility made their pride feel fragile. Your sincerity made their pretense feel heavy. This is the quiet reality of having a calling. You do not need to speak to influence a room. Your existence alone shifts the atmosphere. Your growth threatened those who thought they already knew you. Your evolution disrupted the narratives people were comfortable believing. Your inner transformation illuminated the gap between who they were and who they pretended to be. And so, they watched. Some watched because they admired you. But admiration is silent and humble. It seeks understanding, not control. Others watched because they were searching for proof that your light was not real. They waited for the moment you would contradict your own integrity. They watched your life, not to celebrate your goodness, but to confirm their doubts. Because if they could prove that you were just like them, then they would not have to confront what your existence revealed about themselves. Yet every time life knocked you down, you rose again. Every disappointment tried to harden you, but your heart stayed soft. Every betrayal came close to breaking you, yet something in you refused to let bitterness take root. This is what confused them. Not your success, not your progress, but your spirit. How were you still loving when life gave you reasons to close your heart? How were you still believing when disappointment echoed through your history? How were you still gentle when the world tried to sharpen you into something cold? It made no sense to them. So they watched and studied and questioned and speculated until eventually they realized the truth. You were not sustained by the world. You were sustained by God. The light they tried to scrutinize did not come from accomplishment or personality or effort. It came from the secret place where only you and the divine meet. You were watched because your spirit was undeniable, because the calling on your life was visible long before the evidence appeared, because the imprint of God's hand on your story could not be hidden by circumstance. They watched because heaven had already marked you. They watched because your identity was awakening. They watched because your elevation was already in motion, and they could feel it even before you could fully see it. Chosen one, there came a moment when the watching stopped being passive curiosity and became active investigation. Not always with words, not always with confrontation, but with observation sharpened into intention. They were no longer just noticing you. They were studying you. Some wanted to understand what made you strong, but others wanted to find the crack, the flaw, the shadow, the secret. They needed to believe you weren't who your spirit said you were. So they watched your reactions during hardship. They examined your decisions when no one was applauding. They paid attention to how you treated people who had nothing to offer you. They were searching for hypocrisy. They were hunting for contradiction. They wanted confirmation that the light you carried was a performance. Because if they could find a fracture in your character, they could soothe the discomfort of facing someone who had grown beyond what they expected. But every place they expected to find darkness, they found devotion instead. When they thought grief would break you, they found you praying. When they thought betrayal would harden you, they found you forgiving. When they thought loss would make you bitter, they found you giving. Your life did not collapse under pressure, it sharpened. Your faith did not shrink in pain, it expanded. Your soul did not rot in resentment, it stayed warm and open to God. This is where the shift happened. The investigation turned into revelation. Because what they found was not performance, it was consistency. Your private life matched your public words. Your heart behind closed doors was the same heart you showed in the light. Your intentions remained pure, even when wounded. They realized you were not pretending to be strong. You had become strong. Not loud strength, not prideful strength, but the kind of strength that grows from wrestling with God in silence. They came looking for evidence of failure. Instead, they discovered fruit. Fruit of patience, fruit of wisdom, fruit of humility, fruit of discipline, fruit of love that had survived storms most people never recover from. And while they were gathering their conclusions, heaven was gathering its evidence. Every unseen act of kindness was recorded. Every time you stood in integrity when compromise was easier was noted. Every moment you choose faith instead of fear was written into your divine record. You were being documented in heaven's courts not for trial, but for elevation. Your life proved what your spirit had always known. You are not chosen because you are flawless. You are chosen because you are faithful. The investigation that was meant to question your legitimacy became the very proof that God's hand has been upon you the entire time. And now, the evidence is complete. The case is settled in the spiritual realm. You have been found genuine, chosen one. While the world was watching you with suspicion, heaven was watching you with intention. Every moment of your journey has been recorded, not as judgment, but as evidence. Not evidence of failure, but evidence of faithfulness. There are things you thought no one saw. Tears cried behind closed doors. Prayers whispered when your voice was too tired to rise. Acts of kindness offered when you needed kindness yourself. Decisions to stay soft when pain tried to make you cold. Heaven saw all of it. Heaven watched you stay kind when betrayal tried to shape you into something bitter. Heaven noted the moments you wanted to give up but chose to rise again anyway. Heaven witnessed you loving people who didn't always love you back. While others searched for reasons to doubt your character, God was collecting evidence of your heart, and none of that was wasted. Every sacrifice you made in silence is recorded. Every moment you resisted bitterness is archived. Every time you chose integrity when compromise would have been easier is documented. Not one moment of your endurance has gone unnoticed in the realm where it matters most. For justice in the kingdom is not emotional, it is precise. The world sees actions. Heaven sees intentions. The world measures outcomes. Heaven measures obedience. And the scales of heaven are perfectly balanced. This is why your vindication will not be subtle. It will not come quietly. It will not be misunderstood. Because when God stands to defend someone, he does not whisper. He reveals. There is a divine order to elevation, and you have fulfilled the requirements. You endured without becoming hardened. You waited without becoming hopeless. You fought without becoming cruel. You were tested, and your heart remained intact. This is what heaven was waiting for. Not perfection, but purity of intent. Not flawlessness, but faithfulness. And now the record stands complete. The very things that made your journey difficult have become the very things that qualify you for what comes next. You are not being elevated because life finally became fair. You are being elevated because your character proved trustworthy. There are blessings that cannot be released early, because premature elevation destroys the unprepared heart. But your heart has been refined. This is why the shift is happening now. This is why things are aligning suddenly. This is why doors that were closed are about to open without resistance, because the heavens have reached a verdict. You are proven. You are ready. You are prepared for the next level. And when heaven decides it is your time, no judgment, no gossip, no delay, no strategy of the enemy can prevent what has already been written. The documentation is complete. The elevation is already in motion. Chosen one. Now we arrive at the place where everything shifts. Not the moment your enemies apologize. Not the moment others acknowledge what they did. Not the moment circumstances change. The shift begins with forgiveness. And I know your heart tightens even reading that word. Because forgiveness is not simple when the wound runs deep. Some wounds didn't just hurt you. They altered you. They shaped your silence. They changed how you breathed, how you trusted, how you prayed. There are memories you still feel in your chest. Not thoughts, feelings. The kind that sit heavy behind the ribs. You didn't choose these moments. You didn't ask for these betrayals. You didn't deserve the way people mishandled your heart. So hearing forgive may feel like being told to let injustice go, but this is not that. Forgiveness is not pretending it didn't hurt. Forgiveness is not saying they were right. Forgiveness is not forgetting. Forgiveness is not allowing it to happen again. Forgiveness is untying the rope that has kept your spirit anchored to pain. Because the truth is, you have been carrying the memory, the echo, the sting, far longer than the person who caused it. They moved on with their life, but your heart was still holding pieces of the moment you were broken, and God loves you too much to let your future be held hostage by your past. This is why heaven is calling you to forgive. not to free them, but to free you. Forgiveness is the key that unlocks your elevation. It is the act that breaks the emotional ceiling above your life. It is the release that allows your spirit to rise. Because no matter how high God tries to lift you, you cannot ascend while holding stones of resentment. Unforgiveness is not protection. It is a quiet poison that convinces you it's shielding your heart while it slowly closes it. You deserve to have your heart back. You deserve to breathe without remembering pain. You deserve to love without flinching. You deserve to hope without fearing disappointment. You deserve to feel safe inside your own chest again. Forgiveness is the path back to yourself. And yes, it will take courage, not the loud courage of battle, but the soft courage of healing, the courage to say, I release this so I can finally live. The moment you choose forgiveness, truly choose it, something begins to shift in the spiritual realm. It is subtle at first. Your chest feels lighter. Your mind feels clearer. Your spirit feels less guarded. Then the acceleration starts. Because forgiveness removes what was blocking breakthrough. As long as your spirit remained tied to what hurt you, your destiny could not unfold freely. But when you forgive, doors open more naturally. Opportunities flow with less resistance. Your intuition sharpens. Your alignment returns. Your peace deepens. The universe, heaven, destiny all respond to the release. And here is the most powerful part. Forgiveness is not a feeling. Forgiveness is a decision. You may not feel ready. You may not feel healed. You may not feel peace yet. But healing follows forgiveness, not the other way around. You decide to forgive first. Then the emotions begin to shift. Forgiveness is planting the seed. Healing is the harvest. Chosen one, your heart is tired of carrying what was done to you. Your spirit is tired of replaying memories that do not deserve to shape your future. The pain was real. The wound was deep. But your destiny is deeper still. You are not the same person who was hurt. You have evolved. You have risen. You have grown a strength that was built in fire. The version of you standing here today is powerful enough to forgive, not because you are weak, but because you are free. Forgive not for them. Forgive so you can enter what God has written next. Forgive so your soul can breathe again. Forgive so you can rise. Chosen one, if this message reached your spirit, let your heart respond. Type I release and rise in the comments to seal your forgiveness in the spiritual realm. Not for validation, but as a declaration. You choose freedom. You choose healing. You choose your destiny over your past. Let heaven witness your agreement. And if you feel led, share this message so another soul who is trying to be strong alone can remember they are chosen too. Chosen one. Something begins to shift the moment forgiveness settles into your spirit. Not instantly like a sudden flash of light, but steadily like the first quiet movement of dawn. A warmth returning. A softness reawakening. A breath that goes all the way in again. Your heart begins to remember what freedom feels like. When you release the weight of the past, the atmosphere around your life changes. Your spirit becomes lighter. Your steps become more certain. Your mind stops looping the same memories and begins to open to new direction. This is where acceleration begins. Forgiveness breaks spiritual resistance. For a long time, your progress felt slow and heavy, like walking through thick water. Opportunities were near, yet something invisible kept delaying movement. It was not lack of readiness. It was the emotional and spiritual gravity of what you still carried. But now, the weight is being lifted. Heaven responds to release. Once your heart is no longer tethered backward, your destiny can pull you forward. You will begin to notice ideas arriving faster than before, connections forming without effort, solutions appearing to problems that once felt impossible, strength returning where exhaustion once lived, inner peace becoming your natural state again. There is a momentum that comes after forgiveness, not chaotic momentum that pushes, but divine momentum that guides. The path that once felt blocked begins to clear. The doors that refused to open begin to unlock. The opportunities that were frozen in waiting begin to move toward you without force. This is not coincidence. This is alignment. Your spirit is no longer in conflict. Your energy is no longer divided between past and future. Your heart is no longer trying to heal while defending itself at the same time. You have space now. Space for joy. Space for clarity. Space for purpose. And because of this, heaven can trust you with more. You will notice that your discernment becomes sharper. You will begin to recognize what is truly meant for you and what is simply familiar. Your intuition will speak more clearly, and your steps will feel guided rather than guessed. Do not rush. Do not grab. Do not chase. Instead, stay in the same posture that carried you through the healing, a posture of openness, a posture of quiet trust, a posture of listening. Your acceleration will not require force. It will require presence. This is the season where things come to you, not because you demanded them, but because you are finally aligned with what has always been yours. Forgiveness did not just free your heart, it freed your future. You are entering a time where your growth, your rise, your elevation will feel natural and steady, not stressful and strained. This is the reward of a healed spirit. This is what you have been preparing for. The momentum has begun. Chosen one, the season you are entering will not be subtle. Your rise will not happen in the shadows. Your restoration will not be quiet. Heaven is not just healing you privately. Heaven is preparing to reveal you publicly. There were people who formed opinions about you without ever understanding your story. There were conversations spoken in rooms you were not present in. There were assumptions made about your heart by those who never looked close enough to see it. You were misread, misjudged, misinterpreted, and you stayed silent. Not because you lacked a voice, but because your spirit understood that truth does not need defense. Heaven saw that silence. Heaven honored it. Now the time is coming where your life will speak for itself. The same eyes that watched you with doubt will witness your elevation with awe. The same voices that questioned your purpose will speak your name with respect. The same hands that withheld support will wish to hold what they once took lightly, not through revenge, not through pride, not through proving them wrong. Your vindication is not rooted in ego, it is rooted in destiny. This rise is not about the past. It is about what is being built now. It is about what God is releasing into your life. Expect to be seen in spaces where your name was never mentioned before. Expect connections that feel almost unreal in timing. Expect doors to open that you once believed were sealed. This is not luck. It is timing. It is alignment. It is fulfillment. People will try to understand how your life changed so suddenly, how the weight lifted, how resources appeared, how favor began to follow you like a shadow that refuses to leave. And they will not find a natural explanation, because what is coming to your life is supernatural. It is the return of everything that was delayed. It is the restoration of everything you thought you lost. It is the reward of who you remained while you were hurting. There will be no bitterness in this season. No need to remind anyone of what they did. No need to explain the pain that shaped you. Your elevation will speak. Your peace will speak. Your transformation will speak. Your life will become the evidence that God defends the pure in heart. Those who once misunderstood you will understand without conversation. Those who once questioned you will see without explanation. Those who once doubted you will acknowledge without you saying a word. This is not the moment where you say, "Look at me now." This is the moment where your spirit simply whispers, "Thank you, God. You kept me. You carried me. You vindicated me." What is unfolding for you is not a comeback. It is a revealing, not a recovery, a coronation. You are not returning to who you were. You are stepping into who you were always meant to become. The world is about to see what heaven has seen all along. Chosen one, your rising is not only a blessing, it is a responsibility. What you have endured has shaped you into someone who can hold what others might drop. Your heart has been refined. Your spirit has matured. Your character has been proven true. This next season is not about proving yourself. It is about living from the truth that is already within you. You are being placed in rooms where your presence will shift the atmosphere, not because of your words, but because of the grace you carry. Your role now is simple. Stay aligned with the one who carried you. Stay humble in victory. Stay watchful in blessing. Stay compassionate when others return to you broken. The world will look at you and see strength, but heaven will know that your strength came from every moment you chose love instead of hardness, faith instead of fear, forgiveness instead of blame. This is your identity now, not the wounded one, not the overlooked one, not the misunderstood one. You are the restored one, the prepared one, the chosen one. Walk forward with confidence, not arrogance, with purity, not performance, with peace, not urgency. And when God opens the doors that are waiting for you, enter them with a steady heart. No rushing, no proving, no striving, just knowing you were made for this. Your story will be a light for others walking through their own darkness. Your testimony will be a bridge for those who are afraid to rise. Your life will be a quiet signal of hope that says one thing: God is still faithful. So lift your head. This is the beginning of the life that was always promised to you. You are chosen. You are ready. Walk into your calling. If you are ready for your elevation, say it aloud, write it, speak it into the atmosphere. This is my season. I am ready. Subscribe or follow if you want to walk this journey with guidance, clarity, and spiritual strength. Comment 777 to align with divine timing, open pathways, and accelerated restoration. Your story is not ending. It is unfolding. Stay connected. Your breakthrough is bigger than you think.